Hello, everyone. Welcome to Secrets to Clipwire Game Success. Today, we will be learning more about Clipwire, the fast-growing Toronto-based studio responsible for the top-grossing title Bingo Story. A little bit about myself. My name is Christina Liu, and I'm the VP of Product for Gaming at AppLovin. AppLovin, we partner with some of the top mobile gaming studios worldwide, and this, of course, includes Clipwire. And with that, I'm excited to introduce to you Ritesh Khanna, CEO and founder of Clipwire Games. Ritesh has had over a decade of experience in gaming, including being an early employee at Zynga and driving their MMO division. He started Clipwire Games in 2008 and since then has built multiple games and grown the team significantly. I'm excited to get started. Ritesh, tell me the high-level story behind Clipwire Games.
Thank you for the introduction, Christina. Clipwire was founded over 10 years ago in 2008 here in Toronto. We started off as a web company making games for the Facebook canvas and on the web, and over the years have transitioned over to mobile. Our big focus right now and our big game right now is Bingo Story. It's seen a lot of success in the last couple of years, and it's grown to become one of the top grossing games, especially coming from Canada in the last couple of years. So it's done really well for us.
It's such an inspiring achievement for Clipwire to be the sole Canadian developer with a top grossing game in the App Store currently. Tell me, what brought you to build a studio in Toronto?
Well, I chose to start a studio because I like building things. I like building games. I like building the studio. I really enjoy it. And I chose Toronto. First, I'm from here. I was born and raised here. I love the city. And there's a lot of great talent here, a lot of people who want to take part in this industry and make great games. The government is very, very supportive of this industry. They want to make digital media part of their growth plan. So it's just a great place to be running a game studio from.
It sounds like you were able to leverage your experience building the Toronto studio for Zynga to Clipwire Games. What advice would you have for developers that are interested in building their own studio?
So first off, it's a long journey. There's going to be a lot of setbacks, but don't give up. Just figure out what your next challenge is and address it. Don't get too attached to anything, especially any of the projects you're working on. I found through the years, some of them work and some of them don't. So listen to what the universe is telling you. If something's not working, move on to the next thing. But at the same time, just building that first game and getting it out there, it's not enough anymore. You really got to figure out what KPIs you need to drive, key performance indicators you want to drive, and you got to iterate. You got to keep trying and try to make that game a success. The days of something being successful out the gate, it's fewer and far between and harder to do. It takes a lot of work and iteration, and just be prepared. Be prepared for that. Don't be discouraged if your users are leaving on your first release. That's normal. That happens all the time. So just look at the data, listen to the players, play your own game, and keep going and making it better.
So you brought up two really, really good points just now. One being, that you're not going to get all hits. My personal experience that, it's very much a probabilistic industry. You also brought up the point that, it's important to get that first game going. So how does Clipwire approach new games in development? How do you come up with a concept?
So the most important thing here is to just have your ear on the ground and really be aware of what's going on in mobile games as a whole. You can look at stats and graphs and read music articles all day, but really what that tells you is the state of what gaming is in right now, not really the direction things are headed. But if you're playing games and you're familiar with stuff, you'll have a much better sense of what's going to work. The other thing that's important is to just make sure when you start, you're building something that you're going to be excited about. If you're not excited about it, it's going to be really, really hard to make it successful because it like I said before, a lot of iteration, a lot of, it's not going to be a hit out the door. So you're going to have to really think and work hard at making it a hit. So you got to love it. You got to love what it is. but of course, I don't want to discount that. You've got to look at what people are playing. You've got to look at the metrics. You got to see what the consumers and the players are interested in, and kind of balance those three. And then once you get those three, start prototyping. Don't wait. Just get your prototype out, play it, and see if it's fun and exciting.
I'm gonna follow up with just a little more about the metrics that you're talking about. How do where do you go for market information for competitive intelligence?
So there are sites that track this, like App Annie and Sensor Tower. I go there. I definitely subscribe to a lot of news alerts and read whatever's coming through. So there's a lot of data there, and just kind of what are people talking about? What's the buzz?
That makes a lot of sense. Now let's move on and talk more about the product. We all want to know more about Bingo Story. What is it that drives players to this game, and what do you believe were a lot of the reasons or the major changes that your team has made to the game to really propel it to the top of the charts?
Yeah, on its own, Bingo can be a pretty repetitive, slow game to play. So you really need to add quite a bit to keep it entertaining and interesting. So like in the core, there's a lot more. You're not just playing one card, you're playing up to four. There's power-ups going on, and then there's a whole bunch of live ops that add to the game. So it's not just about hearing a number being called and pushing the corresponding button. It's really about competing in the live ops, taking part in a social club, and working together to achieve goals there. We've added a lot over the last year in terms of live ops. There's at any given point 3, maybe 4 things going on, and kind of all tailored in a different way to keep the experience unique and fresh, so it doesn't feel like you're just playing bingo over and over again. So those have been really big drivers. The social aspect, we really like to encourage players to play together and join bingo clubs and interact with people within the club as well. Lastly, we're really committed to making sure there's a way, and a lot of bingo games don't do this. I don't know if any of the other major ones allow this, but we make sure that you can play bingo for free as much as you want. So we always have the basic room, which is totally free to play in.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned data quite a bit. How does your team balance, the usage of quantitative data, qualitative data, product instincts, and really finding the fun, right? When they're thinking about how to design engaging and fun features and events that you've been talking about.
So like fun and data go together so nicely because like a lot of stuff is fun, right? You can put a lot of fun stuff out there, but then it's nice to know with data how much of a positive or negative impact that idea is having, right? And what you find, like data reflects what fun is, right? So if your data says something's positive, people are enjoying it, people like it, or it's engaging people and it's doing what it's meant to do. So we start with what comes to mind, what our instincts are telling us is like, let's try this. But we know our instincts are usually, or not usually, but not always correct, and you can't get an exact estimate of how impactful something is going to be. So use your instincts and then start gathering data. And the bigger the feature is, the more data you'll want to look at.
Mhm. That makes sense. Now, based on my experience, it's not just enough to have, a great product and great processes, but you also need great talent. Can you tell me a little more about how Clipwire cultivates talent? I understand that, growth and development is, a huge value for your team.
Yeah, it all starts with talent and people, right? So making sure that people are interested in what they're doing and engaged and want to make the game successful is really important. If they don't have that feeling, it's really tough to make it great, make the game something that people want to play. So I like to always try to make sure that like people's jobs are adding to their quality of life. That's the point, right? If it's not improving the quality of life, your quality of life, then something's wrong. So kind of just starting there is really what's important. So making sure that people are doing what they want to do within the company. I don't want to force, or I don't want people to feel obligated to do stuff that's really outside of their wheelhouse or something that they don't enjoy. People can bring really great things to the game and to the company if you just kind of give them the ability to exercise what they're great at. So I like to help people find out what they enjoy doing and push them in that direction. So for example, on Bingo Story, the lead designer on that game didn't start out as a designer on the product at all. They started out as a producer, but over time we realized, well, look, the design instincts here are great, and the contribution here is great. So we shifted her, and now she's the lead designer, and she's doing amazing work, and she's the one who's been behind a lot of these live ops that we've put in the last year, and it's been a huge success there. You know, and we've done the same thing. Our head of QA came in a different role. So we do this a lot, and we really want to make sure people are doing what they're going to be successful at and what's going to make them happy and enjoy the job.
With everything that's been going on in this world, with this pandemic, how is Clipwire maintaining this culture remotely?
Yeah, so when this whole thing started, I was pretty terrified that, you know, culture is going to be one of the hardest things. I know you think about productivity and all these other things, but culture is one of the things that you need to be in the same building, you know, to create a strong culture. You need to be next to each other all the time. I was mistaken. Without a doubt, once we made this transition to remote work, I found it wasn't too hard to keep going. I mean, I looked at GitLab. They had a lot of practice. They've been distributed for a really long time, and they have a document online that talks about what they do. So anyone who's thinking about this, definitely, if you haven't read that already, Google it and take a look at it. But they solved this already. A lot of the stuff that we did in person, it comes onto Slack naturally. It does take a little bit of an effort and convincing yourself that all these things that you were once doing in person, you can do them via a chat. But once you try it, you can still do it. Like, for example, we used to do a lot of after work activities, you know, dinners and stuff like that. We can't do that now, but what we do now is we, you know, once or twice a month, we'll still have a virtual session, and everyone gets you know, a credit on Uber Eats. They order their food, and you know, last week we played Among Us, and that's kind of part of who we are. We like to hang out like that, and we're able to bring that online. So that was really cool.
Great. What advice do you have for developers who are looking to grow their career, especially if it's earlier on, right, in this remote environment?
Yeah, so don't let the remote environment throw you off. We've had a lot of people start since we've gone remote, and it hasn't really negatively affected them. The training that they've gone through has been the same. You've got to make use of the communication tools, though. You can't be shy to get on Slack and get into the different channels and talk and get involved in the conversation. You don't want to be forgotten. It's easy to be forgotten if you're not doing that. So that's important. So take part in all of that, and just do what you would have done otherwise. And just in terms of your role in your job, it's make sure you bring up your grievances. It sounds a little bit weird, but it's sometimes harder for people to sense, like, is this what this person was looking for? Are they enjoying their position? So your manager, your team, they don't want you to feel that way. That's not what they want for you, and that's not what you want. So you got to be a little bit more vocal about stuff that you would have kind of kept to yourself, or kind of would have come up naturally or indicated just because you guys were sitting next to each other. So now you might need to make that added effort to just message people and let them know how you feel and all of that kind of thing.
Thank you for that. Clipwire Games sounds like a really great place for anyone who's looking to really grow in their gaming career. So it's really great to hear about some of the values. Let's take a step back. You've been in games for over a decade. What have been some of your biggest lessons during your time at Clipwire?
So I would say the biggest one, and I touched on this earlier, is like listen to everything around you. Be very attentive. Listen to the signals that the universe sends you. Listen to the data. Listen to the people. What you need to be doing next has a really good way of being right in front of you and kind of a lot of signs are pointing to what you need to do, and sometimes it's hard to receive or notice or understand or interpret them. But if you pay attention, it'll become very clear. So that is one. The other thing is just kind of don't stop. Keep moving forward. Keep trying. Don't give up. You know, figure out what your goal is and keep trying different solutions until you get there, because it's very rare that your first solution to a problem works out or doesn't cause, you know, one problem. Solving one problem causes two more, but then maybe you can solve those other two problems. So like, don't get discouraged. Keep pushing forward. So that, I would say that was like the biggest thing I learned. And then the other thing is kind of team and culture. You know, you probably hear it a lot, but like, it's so important that the people are aligned with the cultural values, and the values reflect, you know, what you want the company to be and what you want the studio to be and the game that you're building. So don't lose sight of that. Definitely, it needs to be cultivated. It needs to be managed. You need to pay attention to it, and make sure that it's what you want and what is right for the game.
Yeah, you touch upon some really important themes here: persistence, team, culture. Can you give an example of a time where, you know, the persistence that you're talking about, where, you know, something you've tried and you failed, but after keep trying, you guys have been able to see success?
Yeah, absolutely. So Bingo Story is actually not even our first bingo game. Bingo World Tour is our first bingo game, and I believe it was just in the last few weeks when we shut it down. But we wanted to make a bingo game. We wanted to make a bingo game differently, and we spent a lot of time making this game, Bingo World Tour, which we thought is going to be, okay, like, this is gonna be way better bingo than whatever's out there. And we put it out there, and we're like, maybe not. You know, maybe this is actually not. And this kind of go back to like, listen to what people are saying, is like, yeah, we're going to try to fix these KPIs, but they, you know, it's just our starting point is so far back, and you know, things aren't really changing. But we knew that like there needed to be a bingo which had these live ops and which had, you know, better social. So we thought, okay, like, let's put we'll leave it out there. Bingo World Tour was on it for a while, but like, let's try again. Let's take what we learned from here and try to solve those problems and start from scratch. So we did that, and we put out Bingo Story. And you know, Bingo Story came out several years ago, but it was just the last couple of years where we kind of started to see the growth and the metrics that we wanted. So we kind of felt the same way again after releasing Bingo Story, but this time our starting point was a lot better, and kind of what we had set up for in terms of what we can add to the game was a lot better. So we did that, and eventually we started to kind of get those KPIs built up to where we want them to be. And we haven't stopped since, right? And we're still doing a lot of stuff for Bingo Story.
Got it. So what's next for Bingo Story on the roadmap?
Yeah, so we've been doing live ops for a long time, and we've got a few more we want to put in. So we're excited about that one. But now we actually want to kind of get back to some of the core features and looking at just different features we have in the game, and figuring out which ones our players like and which ones our players don't like, and maybe taking out some of that extra stuff and replacing it with stuff that's more exciting. I don't want to reveal some of the cool stuff we have because it's coming up really soon, and our players are going to be able to play with it soon. But we're 100% focused on Bingo Story and adding some cool stuff over the next few months.
Okay, great. That's as the player myself, I'm excited to see what comes next. What about Clipwire? What's next for Clipwire?
Yeah, so like I said, our big focus is Bingo Story, but we want to be able to do it as good as we can. So we're trying. We've got plenty of openings, and we're looking to fill up a lot of positions to be able to get more stuff out quicker. We want to double down on our data design. So we want to make sure that we're really using data to upgrade the game and make it better. The focus is mostly Bingo Story. We're on a great growth path. We want to keep it going. We also want to keep making the studio like a more exciting place to be. So in the last few years, we've added a lot of cool stuff for the team. we've added, you can now take days off paid for charity work, for example. This is one example. We've added a lifestyle spending account. We've upgraded our health plan twice. So just that kind of stuff as well. We want to keep leveling up there as well.
Thank you for that. So we're nearing the end of our fireside chat. Final question. What else would you like our audience to know, whether it's about Clipwire, Bingo Story, the team?
Yeah, for sure. One, if you're not playing Bingo Story, please give it a try and let me know what you think. Feedback, I love feedback, especially from people in the industry. The other thing is that we're hiring. We've got a ton of openings on our job board, and all the openings that we have are now both in Toronto and Montreal. We don't have an office in Montreal yet, but we've actually already started hiring people in Montreal. We really want to get a good team in Montreal. We love the talent. We love the city. So any opening that you see in Toronto, also you can do it from Montreal. We've got no issue, and we've learned over the last few months that like with Slack, it doesn't make a difference where you are. So having said that, even if you're not in Toronto or Montreal and you see an opening that you like, please by all means apply. We can figure out the location stuff.
And thank you so much, Ritesh. And this wraps up the fireside chat portion of our program. I hope you found this to be as informative as I have. It's really great to hear from, a studio founder and a CEO that really cares about their people and the long-term investment in their people. Now, if you don't mind, Ritesh, we need you to stay for a little longer. We've received a bunch of great questions from the audience. Please give us a moment to transition to live Q&A.
All right. Thanks for having me, Christina. Happy to answer questions.